Many times in life, things don't go well, and what is the way out for a lot of people? And this is something that I witnessed training a lot of um, a lot of people in tennis throughout more than 30 years, and I saw it from juniors to people that were even 60, 70 years old. Things don't go well, and they become victims, and they start blaming external factors. And also there is resentment sometimes, because at the same time that they're blaming something, they of course they're not happy with with that thing that they didn't like, so the resentment starts growing on them. And it just starts making impossible the capacity to perform at a high level. um, when you start feeling that, you start creating that victimization and resentment in yourself. The only thing that happens is that at the same time you start believing that you're just not capable of producing good results. um, One of the I was watching an interview. It was actually last week that it was a guy that had played in the Lakers with Kobe Bryant, which unfortunately just passed away, with him and his daughter. Yes, one of his daughters yesterday, by the way. And they were interviewing him. He played with Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, and he said that when they won the second title, the second NBA title, they interview Kobe, they say, okay, so what now? What's next for you? What do you think? What are you thinking after winning the NBA title for the second time? And the first thing he say is that I want to go for another one. I'm already thinking about the next one, and that's a very different mentality. That's a very different shift from the mentality of someone that is, um, of course, that he faced, just like everybody else. He faced adversity in the beginning, and things were not easy. He started playing at the age of 18, and though he was a really good player, he still had a lot to learn to really be good enough, to play a week every weekend against the professional players of the NBA. So one of the things that I notice is very common, is that victimization, feeling the victim when things don't go well. And the moment you start looking for someone or something to blame, there is just it's like a big wave that carries a lot of other things that are gonna start getting in the way of performing at a high level. Like I say, you start pointing fingers. You start victimizing. You start the victimization process. You start feeling the resentment against things that don't go well. You start losing your faith in yourself. You start having problems with your self-esteem. You start feeling like you're not incapable of producing the results that you want. And one of the things that is very important is that you have to understand that previous previous to the competition, or previous to anything you do, to any goal, for anything that you're trying to reach, you have to have the idea that things are not going to go easy, and that very probably you're going to fail many times. And it's very important to be able to see in your head your performance. You got to be able to visualize yourself performing at the level that you want, and think that, even start preparing yourself and saying, okay, this is what I'm aiming for, and this is what I want. But even if it don't go well, which that you're always going to have adversity. You're always going to have There always going to be you're always going to have problems, in order to reach your goal. It's always going to be a struggle. that is part of the what there are five types of fortitude that I like, that I talk about. And the initial the when things don't go well and you just know, okay, let's say you're trying something, or you're competing and then you lose. When something goes wrong, the very first moment that you know it, that's the what I call the first strike fortitude. And the first strike fortitude is the fortitude that you know, you just know what went wrong. And that's when a lot of people panic, and you have to learn to shift the focus from the, okay, from the panic area, and start the self-destruction and the negative language and all that, towards saying, okay, things don't go well, let's see what happened, let's learn from what went wrong, and let's move on. See, but that is just one of the different fortitudes that you gotta have. We have to have the the fortitude also to recover. You have to have the fortitude to what I call lucidity, which is keeping it in a long distance. But the first strike fortitude is just being able to say, okay, things don't go well, I gotta be able to regroup in my mind and be ready, because I want to try again. So pay attention when things are not going well. Be aware of yourself, because many times the one of the first reaction for a lot of people are start becoming victims. And when they become victims, it's kind of a way to excuse themselves to not do well. So don't do that. Don't instead of empowering yourself, you're disempowering yourself, becoming a victim, and you start getting fear, and you start becoming negative. You start getting all resentful, and you start becoming incapable of achieving what you want. So you have to learn to pay attention to when things are gonna go wrong. I already work mentally to in case that first strike gets me, because there are many times when it's gonna get you. It's not a matter of if it's gonna get you, if it's gonna happen. If it's just a matter of when that first strike hits me, my mind is gonna be ready to say, okay, I got it, and I'm learning from it. Of course, it's gonna hurt. It doesn't mean that it's not gonna hurt. It's always gonna be painful. But instead of panicking and looking at the world like it's closing down on you, you learn to look at it from a point of view. Say, okay, what learn from it. Let it. Then you let it go, and then you move on to the next try. Okay. All right, guys. It's good to see you again, and I'll hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.